Okay, just a quick update. Got the Snowmelt manifolds mounted and everything piped in. Turned out pretty good. I wish I had more room down here. This bend is kind of tight, I'm not gonna lie, and then these things are stiff. And 5/8 inch pecs does not bend as easily as 1/2 inch does. So yeah, I mean overall it turned out good. It looks good. These pipes are stiff. They're touching the wood. They're touching each other. I don't know if that's going to make noise when it comes on as it expands and contracts, and if it's going to make a ruckus, but it is what it is at this point. My only other option that I could think of, and I still could do it if it becomes an issue, is to disconnect everything, bring them all out straight, and then cut them exactly where I want them and use 90-degree elbows to bring them up. But whew, man, that's 2 crimp fittings for every 90-degree elbow, and you know there's 7 ports supply, 7 ports return, so that's 28 crimp fittings per manifold. That's 56 crimp fittings I would need to do down here, and that's 56 crimp fittings that, you know, have the potential to leak. And you know, the work isn't so much my worry. I'm not so much worried about the work. I could definitely do it, probably knock it out in a Saturday morning or something, but still, if this works, then why? So it's just a little tight. It might be a little noisy when it comes up to temperature. I don't know. It wasn't really rubbing up against the edges of this PVC pipe, but I did try to get some insulation down in there just to protect it. I don't know if you guys can see that. But, you know, I just don't want it rubbing like here. These were rubbing on these caps. That's why all these zip ties are here, because this manifold, the PEX is trying to pull it out, so the top kind of wanted to tilt back. This one up here is just the opposite. It's wanting to tilt forward, which is okay because it moves it away from everything. So I don't mind that it's tilted. It doesn't seem to be rubbing on these brackets, but I will keep an eye on that. If it does, I can try to get something in between there too. But yeah, everything's tight. This last loop right here is going to be the one that runs through the house all the way to the front and then underneath my front porch, which is I can always throw a picture of my house up, but my front porch is open to the outside, and it has full basement underneath it, so it's kind of unique. The porch floor is waterproof, but it does get snow on it sometimes, and usually just the heat from the basement will melt it off. But I figured I'll run a Snowmelt loop over there, put a whole bunch of it underneath the porch and my little front entryway, which also isn't heated, and bring it back. And that way, whenever the snow melts on, it'll melt that porch. If there is any water up there, it'll melt it. So yeah, just a quick update. Thought I'd show you where I'm at. It's going to be interesting to get all of my pumps and everything in that little space right there. I'm not gonna lie. So this is my return. My supply comes in the front there, and I was going to have it come up right in front of this one and come up to about here and then turn out and over, but now I think if I do that, I'm going to be, you know, hit into this manifold. So I gotta figure that out. I might try to keep it back as far as I can, maybe bring it up a little bit over this way. Or instead of bringing it out and over, maybe I could bring it straight up into my first loop, so the supplies would actually be offset from the returns. I don't know. I've got to start to mock it up and play with it. If I did that, I would just need a 1.5 by 1.5 by 1 inch fitting, just like this, 1.5 1.5 1 inch, and that would let me come up. If I did come up in front of this one and go straight up, but even then, I mean, I don't. If I'm that far over, I think my pumps and everything are going to be too close to these heaters. So, yeah, I gotta play with that a little bit. It's tight down here. I mean, there's really not a whole lot else I could have done. I've thought about this quite a bit. As far as, that being so tight, could I have put those manifolds somewhere else? I mean, I don't know where else to put them. My meter comes in there. This wall, maybe I could have ran stuff to this wall. I don't think I could have fit the heaters and on all of this over there. I don't think it would have fit. But yeah, I mean, overall, I like the way this has turned out. I like the layout of it. It turns out it's just compact. I mean, look at that. It doesn't get much more compact than that. So it is what it is. It's the nature of having a small utility room down here, and you work with what you got, and that's exactly what I've done. So I might have been able to run these up to the ceiling or something, but I think it'll be okay there. I really do. So yeah, next step, I do have the pieces of wood to put down there. It was just easier to get this one in and get all these pipes out of my way, and then I will fit the wood in. But it's snowing out, and our driveway's an ice skating rink right now because the insulation is preventing the snow, the ground, the heat in the ground from melting it. So honestly, I can do woodworking later. Same thing, I've got a big piece of plywood that'll cover this, and I'm going to have a door on this that'll open up, but I'm not worried about that. Right now I want to get at least that Snowmelt plumbed in. Pump, I have a purge valve that goes on the return, supply header, and then shut-off valve, check valve, T, which comes off the Belimo, and on the return will be the Belimo, which I'm hoping will fit. That's kind of what these two marks are, because that Belimo is a big three-way valve, so I'm hoping that thing will fit right there. And yeah, we'll see. But that's next. I'm getting the rest of this copper done and getting this piped in so I can start to fill it, pressure test it with air, fill it with glycol, and get this thing on for this winter. So anyway, other than that, the system's working great. It's literally like clockwork. That recirculation pump, which just brings hot water over to here and back, 20 minutes. It runs, this is with nobody using hot water. Like during the day, it runs every 20 minutes. I use these smart outlets which connect to my Samsung Smart Things. So you might notice I got rid of the switch. This was on a light switch, and instead I put a GFI on so that everything was GFI protected, which it should have been from the start, and that one down there already is a GFI. So instead of using a switch to turn this on and off, if I ever did want to control the tank, which I really don't, but the cool thing with these Smart Things meter outlets is they can sense power. So right now these aquastats draw like a half a watt when they're on, or when it's in idle. But when it kicks on, the Takeo 13 draws like 200 watts, and this outlet can see that. Same thing with that 006 down there. When that thing comes on, it draws like 60 or 70 watts. So I can set up automations and smart things that tell me, okay, whenever that gets to, you know, goes above 1 watt, then I want you to send a text message to my phone and tell me that the water heater's on. And same thing with that. And what I do is on my phone, I put in a contact for smart things. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but it will tell me the times. Now I put this on do not disturb, so it's not driving me nuts all day, but literally during the day when use is minimal, the water heater, these units will come on to recirculate this tank every hour. So once an hour for 2 minutes. It takes 2 minutes at 8 gallons a minute to circulate the 20-gallon tank, and it shuts off. And it starts at, like, I usually want to say 80,000 BTUs, something like that, and it modulates all the way down to like 30 as the return water comes up. So is it more efficient, less efficient than the old Bosch I had here that fired up at 30 as a minimum every time, but it was coming on and off and on and off and on and off? Whereas this, I mean, you could wash your hands, you can wash dishes, you can do all that stuff, and it doesn't fire these unless that tank drops. So it's you know, it's a lot less ignition sequence. Now overnight, I have that recirc pump shut off overnight, so that doesn't circulate hot water after 10 p.m. This tank, these usually come on around 10:30. They don't run again until like 4:30 in the morning. So it takes all night, you know, almost 6 hours, 7 hours for that tank to drop from it's set at 130 with a 5-degree differential, but really it gets up to like 132, and then it takes, you know, 6-7 hours for that thing to lose 7 degrees. So it's almost like a degree an hour that this loses. Now it's quicker during the day when the recirc pump is on, because every 20 minutes that thing comes on like clockwork. Now if somebody's drawing hot water, that will throw the cycle off a little bit because it's getting hot water, so it doesn't need it. I've got that set lower than what my hot water is set to. So if somebody's drawing hot water, there's no reason for it to recirc, so it won't. But honestly, from the minute the person stops drawing hot water, it takes 20 minutes for the water in this pipe and that sensor to cool down to 110 degrees, and then it kicks it on. And it runs 20 seconds, 25 seconds tops, and it brings this up from 107 usually back up. I have it set to 110, but it brings it back up to like 115, and then it takes 20 minutes for it to cool off. So I might insulate these two pipes, the hot and the recirc, and I bet it would just extend the time. Haven't decided if I want to get into insulating all of this. I might, but yeah, system works great. I'm still dialing it in. I mean, I might be able to have it run a little bit longer than 2 minutes, but less often if I play with the temperature. Maybe if I turn the temperature on the tank up a couple of degrees, it will take a little bit longer for it to heat up, but it will also take, you know, if I up the differential as well so that it still doesn't come on until 125, I would think maybe instead of running once every hour for 2 minutes, it'll run once every hour and a half for 3 minutes. You know, is one better than the other? I don't know. I'll have to play with that. But yeah. So anyway, enough rambling about the system. It's working. It works great so far. It's been 2 weeks. It's been on. I'm very happy with it so far. Glad to get that done. I want to get this up. So next few videos are probably going to be me getting these pumps and valves and all of that built. And then we can do some Snowmelt videos, and that's when the real fun begins. So anyway, thanks for watching.